Alright, let me talk to you. Welcome to the continuation of the Stardew Valley Expanded series. Now, up until this point, I've been uploading one season per video. I've decided not to do that anymore. Instead, you're getting all 112 days in one video, taking us all the way up to the end of the second year. And who knows, I might even go into year 3 in this video too. I'll have the video containing the first 112 days linked down below in the description, so if you haven't seen what happened in the first year, feel free to check that video out. All of the mods I'm using will also be down there, along with a little note about what each one does. Aside from that, there's not much to be said other than thank you for joining me on this adventure through the Stardew Valley Expanded mod. I hope you enjoy the video. Day 113 is the very first day of year 2, which means that Kent has returned to town. Kent is like the vanilla games version of Andy for me. At first I thought I wouldn't like them, and I didn't like them, but they grew on me over time. I clear out the weeds that have grown on the farm, grab Joja berry starters and plant them. Our bank account is not looking too healthy right now, so I toss a few bits and bobs into the shipping bin. Then it's off to the secret woods for a foraging run. I use the hardwood I get here to make treasure totems, which will hopefully give me a secret note, and then that secret note will show me the location of the final artifact I need, fingers crossed anyway. And that is exactly what happens. Nice, I couldn't be any happier about that. Susan wants me to make 50 quality fertilizer and bring them to her. That's a handy enough special order, I don't mind doing this one. I was pretty surprised to see that I had earned over 200,000 gold from the items I tossed into the shipping bin. That's quite a bit more than I was expecting. Susan has sent me 20 quality fertilizer on the morning of day 114. This counted as me making 20 of them, so, thank you Susan, I appreciate that. You've just made my job a lot easier. It took me, honestly, an embarrassing amount of time to find the location of that last artifact. I dug up so much of the sand here in the desert that I was beginning to think I wasn't going to find the right spot. But I found it in the end, so that's a relief. I buy 250 starfruit seeds before heading back to Pelican Town. I walk east of the museum where I find Lewis standing in front of the old community garden. A bit like the community center before we fixed it, this too has been abandoned. Nobody else wants to or is able to use the community garden, so Lewis decides that I can have it all to myself. I can't believe I'm about to say this, and I really don't want to say this, but it has to be acknowledged. That's actually kind of you, Lewis. Thank you. I donate the ancient doll completing the entire museum collection. Another star drop has been acquired. After maneuvering my way over to Ginger Island, I speak with Birdie. Her husband is lost at sea and she's desperate to find a locket that belongs to him. She gives me a memento and a job. This job is pretty simple. All I have to do is trade this memento she gave me for a different item, trade that item for something else, and so on until somebody eventually gives me the locket. Before I get started on that job, I accept an order from Mr. Key. He wants me to bring him 100 each of different colored items. This one shouldn't be too bad either. I make 30 quality fertilizer and give the memento to Kent. He gives me gourmet tomato salt. I trade this for a Stardew Valley rose. This is given to Sandy and she gives me the advanced TV remote. George is visibly very happy to receive this remote, and I am very happy to be given an Arctic shard in return. I give it to the wizard who gives me a wriggling worm. Finally, I give this worm to William, who gives me the locket that Birdie has been searching for. I deliver the fertilizer to Susan and replace a large chunk of the crops in this greenhouse with starfruit seeds. The planting of Joja berry starters resumes on day 115. The entirety of the main farm has been covered in them. Fantastic. I give the locket to Birdie, who gives me golden walnuts and a crafting recipe for fairy dust as a reward. My journey to accomplish as much as possible during spring takes me to the Junimo woods. I buy hyper speed grow, and I also pick up ancient fruit that was growing here on the ground. It's iridium quality because of the foraging perk I chose that makes forage be iridium quality. I know ancient fruit is a crop, not a forage item, but I guess when it's just lying on the ground is considered to be a forage item, hence the iridium quality. There was no reason for me to explain all of this, I'm just thinking out loud, I'll move on. Just before the night ends, I sprinkle the hyper speed grow on the monster fruit in the greenhouse. This is the final monster crop I have to harvest. The site of the old Joja Mart has been struck by lightning. Interesting. It is Kent's birthday on day 116, so I send him a lovely gold star rabbit's foot. Robin very kindly supplies me with 25 battery packs and 200 pieces of hardwood. In return for a lot of money, of course. I need something to decorate the Ginger Island farm with, so in the end I decide to make a few lampposts. These should do the job. I buy 150-ish pieces of grass starter, say hello to Lance, and run through the Volcano dungeon. I head to the island trader on day 117. I trade 50 cinder shards for the deluxe retaining soil crafting recipe. I also decide to trade 30 bone fragments for the banana pudding cooking recipe. After making a quick trip home to make a monster musk, I return to the Volcano dungeon. I am happy to announce that the final monster eradication goal has been completed. We are one step closer to achieving perfection. Day 118 begins with the routine task of harvesting Joja berries and then throwing them into seed makers. I want to make the whole process quicker and more efficient, so I've made even more seed makers and placed them in here too. I've got some leftover hyper speed grow, so I sprinkle it on 8 Joja berry starters. It won't make a big difference considering how many other seeds we have planted here, but I might as well use it. I spend 140,000 gold on grass starter. This stuff will literally only be used to decorate the Ginger Island farm and the farm here in Pelican Town. This is proving to be very expensive, but I will do literally anything to try to make my farms look aesthetically pleasing. I buy 100 Joja Colas. This is to cover the 100 blue items that Mr. Key wants. I trade 4 tickets for an Iridium Sprinkler, a plant, mega bombs and mystery boxes. Following that, I investigate what was once the Joja Mart. There is one final bundle left for us to do in here. I only have to donate 6 of the 7 items and they shouldn't be too difficult to get. Sure, it might take a while to get them, but it won't actually be hard, if you know what I mean. I enter Caroline's sunroom for the first time in the playthrough. You know, before the 1.6 update was released, I would have came in here during the 2nd or maybe the 3rd week of spring during the first year. You get the crafting recipe for tea saplings for coming in here, and 1 tea sapling sold for 500 gold. But then that update came along and their value was changed to 250 gold. Don't get me wrong, it's still a nice amount of money to get for just 1 tea sapling, but I've kind of forgotten about them ever since that update came out. Marlin has sent me the items that I lost when I got knocked out on day 119. I'm not entirely sure why he sent me these as I didn't ask him to. I'll take them, but I'm a bit confused. I think what might have happened is a combination of 2 things. When I completed the Magma Sprite eradication goal, I unlocked the ability to give Marlin a call using the telephone. While you're on call with him, you can ask him to deliver your lost items to you. Maybe that, in combination with the mail services mod, has resulted in him sending the items to me without me even asking him to. After harvesting a monster fruit, I use Marlin's boat to get to Lance's home in the Highlands. Before I can speak with Lance though, I encountered a dwarf we freed from that cage in the mountains here. They've moved into this cave and are selling some furniture items. They look cool and are pretty unique, but I doubt I'll ever buy any of them. I give all 4 monster crops to Lance, completing his mission. On a similar note, I talked to Susan about the 50 quality fertilizer I gave her. She teaches us her patented fermentation method. Beer, mead and pale ale are now more valuable. We are on a roll right now as I complete Mr. Key's special order too. I earn a tasty 35 key gems as a reward. I send a star drop tea to Lance on day 120 as it is his birthday. That's 3 more hearts of friendship with him secured. I forgot to mention it, but I got started on decorating the farm here on Ginger Island after I completed Mr. Key's order yesterday. It's very much a work in progress, but I'm happy with how it's looking so far. I think more than anything else, I'm just happy to finally be putting the grass starter to use, especially considering how much money I spent on it. I plant starfruit here to make use of the 13 iridium sprinklers I've placed down. When these are done, I think I'll start planting every other seed so I can make sure I have all the crops I'll need for the cooking recipes in the future. Mr. Key has 2 new special orders for us. Well, I say new, but one of them is the 100 different colored items order. I'll do it again, because it gives more key gems as a reward than the other special order he's offering. I accept the other type of special order in town. Sophia wants fairy dust, fairy rose seeds, and fairy stone. The bad news is we can't buy fairy rose seeds as we aren't in fall. Now I'm really glad I decided to plant fairy roses during fall last year, because I can just throw them into the seed makers now to get the seeds I need. Lance is here on day 121. He thanks me for bringing the monster crops to him. Apparently they have some very interesting and strong arcane properties. That's not all though, as he has also left a reward for me in a chest inside his house. I send void mayonnaise to the goblin henchman. I've made the realization that he doesn't have a birthday. I think that's awfully sad, and I formally request he be given one. Please, he deserves it. I collect 38 fairy rose seeds, take the diamonds out of the crystallariums and plop a fairy stone into one of them. This is how I will get the 5 fairy stones Sophia wants. I buy hyper speed grow over in the Junimo woods and trade prize tickets for fairy dust, artifact troves and a lovely little decoration. I take the dust and I use it to make the crystallarium produce 2 fairy stones. These stones then go right back into another 2 crystallariums. I give a monster mushroom to Lance, buy 2 cooking recipes from Marlin and plant my fairy rose seeds. It's Vincent's birthday on day 122, so he receives a birthday gift. I talk to Lance, and with that, his friendship has been entirely maxed out. We should have a very special event coming up soon involving the monster crops because of this. Sophia's friend, Scarlet, has come to town. If there's one thing I learned from the mega modded series I did, it's that it is so incredibly easy to forget about Scarlet. Scarlet only becomes an official NPC who you can give gifts to and talk to and basically work on your friendship with her if you get Sophia to 8 Hearts of Friendship. This isn't optional, by the way. You need to max out her friendship in order to achieve perfection, so we'll have to take care of that at some point. Later on, I see Sophia walking out of Harvey's clinic. She looks a bit sad, so we end up going to the saloon where she orders some Grumpleton orange chicken. That cheers her up. I trade a ticket for a Stardrop tea. You remember that very special event I mentioned involving Lance? It's about to happen. But first, I make a rain totem and I use it. I make 467,000 gold from the sale of Jojoberry starters. At this point, I think I need to admit something that I've been thinking for a while now. The remixed seeds mod is, well, it's overpowered when you use it in combination with the Stardew Valley Expanded mod. If you want to get the Jojoberry starters the intended way, you have to do the Jojo route. But I didn't, and instead I just threw all of the Jojo berries that grew from the mixed seeds into a seed maker. And now each one sells for 1,000 gold each. I'm not ashamed to admit that that is very overpowered. I'm also not ashamed to admit that I'm going to continue selling them. Anywho, after buying 50 each of the different spring seeds, I ask Robin to upgrade the house. Lance is going to a place called the Fable Reef. The members of the First Slash Guild live here. Lance is a member of this guild and wants to show them all of the monster crops I gave him. And so off we go together to the Fable Reef. I'm seeing some lovely forage items here, one of which I still have to throw in the shipping bin. And there are 3 or 4 fish, I think, that we can catch here too. The guild members are in disbelief when they see the monster crops. They think these crops are mighty fascinating and are extremely grateful to both me and Lance for bringing them here. I'm brought back to Ginger Island when the cutscene has concluded. But that works in my favour because I was planning on planting the parsnip, potato and garlic seeds I have anyway, so, you know. It's my birthday on day 123. Fingers crossed, this one goes better than last year's birthday when I received 0 presents. Admittedly, that was my fault because I may have not spoken to a single person that day, but anyway, let's move on. The wizard is here. At first I thought he was going to give me a present, but no. What actually happens in this cutscene is he tells us that he has been informed that we visited the Fable Reef yesterday. He wants us to meet him in his tower later on today. We have just received our first birthday gift. Mother has sent me a cake. And Father decided to send me 5,000 gold. Not a bad start at all. I visit the home of Evelyn, George and Alex where I received the following items. A common mushroom, a salmon dinner, and 3 cookies. Something is happening involving Sophia now. Initially she was by herself in the graveyard, and when I ran into her, my farmer decided that we should visit her later on to check up on her. I receive hash browns from Penny before checking on Sophia. She is still very upset, but we watch a show on TV which makes her happier. She gives me a blueberry tart for my birthday. Pam gives me a beer, yeah, I should have seen that one coming. Robin gives me 50 pieces of wood, and the goblin henchman doesn't give me anything, but that's okay. He doesn't have a birthday, so I don't know, maybe he doesn't know what a birthday is. That's what I'm making myself believe, but in reality it's probably because my friendship just isn't high enough with him yet. The wizard gives me 5 void essence. I buy magic bait and hyper speed grow and harvest blue jazz and tulips in Sprite Spring along with some ancient fruit in the hidden cave here. I can donate these to the bundle in the abandoned Joja Mart because that one requires gold star ancient fruit. I take the mutant carp out of its pond and replace it with a sturgeon. The roe it produces will be turned into caviar using a preserves jar. I can donate that item to the bundle too. I donate dinosaur mayo, a gold star void salmon, a shark and a prismatic shard. I forgot to bring the 5th ancient fruit with me. That was a very silly decision on my part. The wizard has set up a teleportation circle in his basement. I use it to get to the Fable Reef. I collect all of the forage items here, the noteworthy items being the shark tooth and the golden ocean flower. Next, it's time for some fishing. I eat a dish of the sea for a +3 fishing boost. And I got a +3 in fishing when I went swimming in Sprite Spring earlier too. So it should be really easy to get all of the new fish here. I catch the torpedo trout first, then a second new legendary fish appears. I was very anxious when I realized it was a legendary fish. However, thanks in large part to the fishing boost I have, this ended up being the easiest fishing experience of the entire playthrough so far. The turret fish has been caught. Next we have the daggerfish, followed by the arrowhead shark. Finally, with the viper eel acquired, we have caught all of the fish we can in this location. There are now only 3 fish remaining in the entire game. I'm going to start day 124 by showing you all of the gifts that I was sent in the mail. So this confirms that if you don't talk to a villager on your birthday and you have a high enough friendship with them, they'll send your gift in the mail the following day. I'm getting a lot of cooked dishes and some other goodies like ancient fruit, rare seeds, an iridium sprinkler and a void egg. I think it's a fairly balanced mod, right? Like I didn't get any of these things in the first year because my friendships weren't high enough with the villagers. So it's kind of like if you work hard on your friendships with the villagers, you'll be rewarded by getting some lovely items like these ones. I pay a visit to Sophia as I'm determined to unlock Scarlet as an NPC as quickly as possible. I have some lore to share with you all, and unfortunately, it isn't lighthearted stuff. Sophia's parents were involved in a car crash. Things didn't end well for either one of them. Gus and Lewis knocked on Sophia's door that night to tell her about what happened. This cutscene actually got to me the first time I watched it. It's awfully sad, and you can't help but feel just so much sympathy for Sophia. This is a bad time to kind of segue to a different topic, but it has to be done. I visit the bookseller where I buy the Queen of Sauce cookbook and a couple other books. The cookbook was my main priority though, as it let you unlock all of the cooking recipes that you would usually only be able to get by watching the Queen of Sauce TV show. It might be time for me to buy a fridge or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 from Robin and maybe put all of the cooking ingredients I have into them, just to be prepared for when I do start cooking everything. I pick up an ancient fruit in Sprite Spring, which means I can now donate all 5. I harvest parsnips and potatoes on Ginger Island and plant the garlic, tulip and blue jazz seeds I have. I complete Mr. Key's order and dig up a golden walnut and an ostrich egg. The sturgeon has produced roe on day 125, now I'm just waiting for it to be processed into caviar. I plant mahogany tree saplings, sprinkle fertilizer on them and add more preserve jars to the pond area. Then I visit the wizard. He says something that really bothers me during the conversation that ensues. We were talking about plants and crops, and he says he enjoys, you know, that whole thing. But he also says, it's one of the reasons that Caroline and I... and then trails off, and then mentions her sunroom. First of all, how does he know that Caroline has a sunroom? Secondly, the way I see it, this implies that there's something going on between the wizard and Caroline. Or at the very least, it implies there may have been something in the past. If we ever get solid confirmation that there was or is, and the wizard or Caroline or both of them were not loyal to their partners, I will never ever refer to them by name again. I will just refuse to acknowledge their existence, both of them, forever. Anyway, let's move on to a nicer topic now. I help Sophia clean her parents' room and make it all neat and tidy. She thanks me for my help and says she will send me something really special in the mail tomorrow. The egg festival takes place today. I don't buy anything from the stall, but I do take part in the egg hunt. If I'm not mistaken, I didn't attend this festival last year, so I'd like to win this if I can. And I do. I received the straw hat for the first time in this playthrough, which is also the first time I didn't get it during the first year. Sophia has sent me a bottle of aged Blue Moon wine on the morning of day 126. This stuff is worth 10,000 gold and gives a massive +7 luck bonus. I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm sure something will come up in the future where the luck bonus will be quite handy. I harvest the starfruit that is grown in this greenhouse, plant Joja berry starters, and ask Robin to add a cellar to the house. Not only will this allow me to upgrade our wine to silver, gold, and iridium quality, but we will also receive the crafting recipe for the cask when the cellar has been built. I harvest garlic and potatoes, plant blue jazz and kale seeds, and spend the remainder of the night spreading grass on the farm. For aesthetic purposes, of course. Tulips and fairy roses have been harvested on day 127. I plant kale and cauliflower seeds. I'm cycling through all of the spring seeds basically. Mr. Key wants me to ship 100,000 gold worth of freshly cooked items. That I can do. The desert festival is on for the next 3 days. I asked the chef here to make me a dish consisting of rare fruit and uncomfortably hot sauce. The resulting dish gives me a speed and luck boost. I accept a quest from Marlin to reach level 30 of the Skull Caverinos. I will receive 50 calico eggs if I can do this. These eggs can be traded for items being sold at the stalls here in the desert. There's not much to be said about my time in the Caverinos. It's the same as usual, except I'm picking up calico eggs along with the items we would normally find inside here. I make it to floor 30 with no hassle and I proceed all the way to level 75. After leaving the caverns, I tell Gil I got an egg rating of 25. He gives me 200 calico eggs and his hat. Jazz is selling fairy rose seeds, so I trade 125 eggs for all 25 of them. Pamela is selling certain beverages. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. I grab 52 strawberry seeds and 2 lucky lunches from another trader and 1 fairy rose seed from the traveling cart. The banana and mango trees have fully grown on day 128, so they've started producing fruit. I grab 17 fairy rose seeds and accept an order from Gustavo. He wants 24 eggs. Over on Ginger Island, I place a banana on this podium thingy and I receive 3 golden walnuts for doing so. I harvest starfruit and fairy roses and plant cauliflower, cucumber, green bean and strawberry seeds. I make 10 fairy dust, convert fairy roses into fairy rose seeds and collect 5 fairy stone. We now have everything we need for Sophia, so I drop them off in the chest outside her house. She'll finally have the elusive fairy garden she has always wanted. With a somewhat heavy heart, I spend 200,000 gold on 669 coffee. If I turn these into triple shot espressos and toss them into the shipping bin, I'll complete Mr. Key's order. Lance has used magic to make us invisible to the monsters here in the Highlands. We take a wonderful trip around the area, taking in all of the sights and sounds. As it is raining, a green mushroom monster can spawn. It drops a green mushroom which I need for the shipping collection, so I must get my hands on one. And I do. I make triple shot espressos and toss them into the shipping bin. Scarlet has officially become a villager on day 129. We now have another friendship to work on, but it shouldn't be too much of a hassle. I spend the day going through the Volcano dungeon breaking the boxes inside here. I still have to get a couple of walnuts from them. I take a trip to Robin's on day 130. With all of the main upgrades for the house out of the way, we can now do something very nice for a certain villager. If we give 500,000 gold to Robin, then she will build a lovely house for Pamela. And I will do that before the playthrough ends. For now, I buy a workbench, then I buy some ore from Clinton. I want to get a head start on getting all of the crafting and cooking ingredients ready, so I stock up on fridges too. I take a quick break to harvest kale and blue jazz on Ginger Island before returning home. I spend the remainder of the day putting cooking ingredients inside the fridge. I need rhubarb for a dish or two, so I grab 50 seeds from the shop in the desert. I plant a couple of them and red cabbage seeds in the greenhouse. Day 131 begins with a bit of a nostalgic foraging run at the beach where I collect clams and oysters. I make a butter churner. This is a brand new item and I've sort of only just realized it was added to the game by the Stardew Valley Expanded update. I need butter for cooking purposes, so I toss some milk into the churners. I need milk, just normal milk by itself, for future cooking recipes. So I've moved the machines in here away from the chest and the auto grabber so the milk won't automatically be turned into cheese. I replaced the crimson fish with a sturgeon. I took it out of the original pond it was in, but I forgot I'll need more than 1 caviar as I have to ship it as well as donate it to the final bundle. I encounter a bear in the secret woods. I give him some maple syrup, which is more than enough for him to decide that he wants to be my friend. It also turns out, this bear has a shop in the big forest. I go there and buy the baked berry oatmeal and the flour cookie cooking recipes. Butter is ready for collection on day 132, and that's all I did today. Yeah, I felt a bit lazy, I won't lie. Unfortunately, I have to start day 133 with some bad news and an apology of sorts. There's no gameplay audio. I have no idea why, it's just gone. As of me writing this, the script I mean, I don't know whether the remaining footage in spring will have audio. I really hope it does, or I will be so upset. After chopping down mahogany trees and buying a stack of stone from Robin, I ask her to build the premium barn. This is another new addition. I'm really liking all of the changes and the new things from the Stardew Valley Expanded update so far. I dropped some eggs off at the saloon for Gustavo, not enough to finish a special order, but it's still something. The rest of the day is spent chopping down trees and cleaning up the farm. I've decided to prepare an area for the obelisks I will be buying in the future on day 134. Also, in regards to the gameplay audio, it's gone until the end of spring. Believe me, I am so annoyed with myself for not checking it while I was recording. I hope this doesn't ruin the video for you. I'll pay better attention next time I'm recording. I'll make sure this doesn't happen for the rest of this playthrough. In news that also isn't the greatest, the 2 special orders that are available this week do not have a crafting recipe associated with them. The Skull Caverns have received an overhaul and we have to reach floor 100. Not only will we get 40 key gems as a reward, but radioactive ore can also be found in these caverinos which we need for crafting recipes. Day 135 begins with an activity that I shall be doing basically every day from now on. I chop down the mahogany trees that have grown, plant mahogany seeds in their place, and sprinkle fertilizer on the seeds. I want to make the process of getting to floor 100 in the caverinos as easy as possible, so I buy 150 mega bombs from the dwarf. I spend the remainder of the day inside here. It was actually very challenging, which kinda surprised me. The monsters inside here have received an upgrade, so they do a lot more damage, and I almost got knocked out a few times. But I persevered and reached floor 100 at around 1 AM. I make a heavy furnace on day 136. This is a wonderful piece of machinery. You can put 25 pieces of ore and 3 coal into it, and it will produce 5 or 6 bars. The flower festival takes place today, so it's basically a day off. I can just relax and not do any work. The ponds on the farm have been moved to a different location on day 137. When all is said and done, 6 ponds will be in this spot right here. I put the last few eggs in the fridge in the saloon, completing Gustavo's order. Then I harvest cucumber, pineapples, and cauliflower. And that is all of the spring crops planted and harvested. I'll be doing the same for the summer crops, but I won't mention every time I harvest them. I'll just let you know when I've started the process of planting the seeds. I buy all but 2 crafting recipes in Mr. Key's walnut room using my gems. I need 50 more gems for the heavy tapper and the hyper speed grow crafting recipes, and that's it. I find a golden walnut in a chest in the Volcano dungeon and another in a box that I broke open. And that was the 130th golden walnut we've collected overall. So we can check the golden walnuts off the list of things we need to do to achieve perfection. Gustavo sends me a fridge on day 138. You know what? It might not be a crafting recipe, but it's useful all the same. With the premium barn built, I ask Robin to add the premium coop to the farm too. Because the premium barn isn't an upgrade but rather its own separate building, I have to move all of the existing barn animals to the premium barn. On a related note, we can now buy a camel for Marnie. Another new thing, I shouldn't be surprised that we're still discovering new additions from the update, but I am, and it's a wonderful feeling. I move all of the machinery into the premium barn and put an ostrich egg into the incubator. I end the day by placing pathways down around the ponds. I'm gonna do my best to really spruce up the farm and try to make it look as good as possible before we're finished here. Something is happening at the abandoned farm in the big forest. I have been waiting so long for this moment. There's no time for dilly-dallying on day 139 as I make a beeline for that farm. I explore the farmhouse and I find a golden scroll. Just like the one I found in the community center last year, I can't read this one either. And so I asked the wizard to shed some light on what the scroll says. He doesn't know. Yeah, the wizard has no idea what is written on it. He calls upon a good friend of his to help us. Camilla is finally here. This is the witch who oversees the largest magical barrier in the world. She does what the wizard cannot and deciphers the scroll. Apparently, a Junimo wants me to bring 200 pieces of starfruit to that farmhouse. This is why I made sure to plant plenty of starfruit seeds multiple times. I have more than enough, so I drop them off inside the house. Day 140 is here and I couldn't be any happier because that means we're about to get our gameplay audio back. But before that happens, I have to finish the final day of spring. I begin by harvesting jojo berries and collecting some from the Junimo huts. Inside the greenhouse, I harvest even more berries alongside some rhubarb and tea leaves. Every single one of these berries are going to be turned into jojo berry starters, which means we are about to become very, very rich. I make 23 seed makers to speed things up even more and sell over 1,000 jojo berry starters. I use my newfound fortune to build the earth and ocean obelisks on the farm. I also get rid of the barn because we don't need it anymore now that we have the premium one. I spend the remainder of the night collecting bug meat and bat wings for crafting recipes. And that is the end of our second spring here in Stardew Valley. Normally I would do a little bit of a recap at the end of each season, or at least talk a little about what happened, but I want the gameplay audio back as soon as possible, so I'm not going to do that here. Let's jump right into summer. The gameplay audio is back on day 141, and I couldn't be any happier about it. As if things couldn't get any better, I run into a beer outside Marnie's shop. It appears we're now able to buy beers from Marnie. I've got no idea what they do, so it should be fun finding out. I enter the abandoned farmhouse in the big forest and I go down into the basement. The time has come for us to finally meet the Junimo who lives inside here. Apples is their name and they are over the moon to see us. They want us to come back here tomorrow, so we should be able to start giving them gifts and talking to them and just overall working on our friendship with them. The Joja clearance bin has been moved to Marnie's shop. The sort of canonical reason, I guess, is that Shane just took it with him from Joja Mart when the shop closed down. I buy 2 eggs followed by 3 more eggs because the raccoon wants 5 eggs. I collect some Joja berries from the Junimos and pop them into the seed makers. After reaching a total of almost 2,000 Joja berry starters, I sell them all to Peary the platypus, bringing me up to a total of 2 million gold. I make a beach warp totem as I want to go to Ginger Island. I need to collect my dragon tooth. Dragon teeth? Dragon tooth? What's the plural of dragon tooth? Is it dragon teeth? Anyway, I want to collect my dragon teeth from a chest over there, but I cannot as William's shop is closed. It's not all bad news though, as Caroline has finally given us a special order. She wants us to grow and ship 100 pineapples. I am more than ready for this order. I've been waiting for this ever since I unlocked Ginger Island. I grab a star fruit from a chest on day 142 as I would like to give it to Apples today. I wanted to see if I'd picked up the ice rod trinket at any point and just tossed it in here without realizing. That's when I spotted them. My dragon teeth. I need these. Yoink. I collect camel wool from the barn and I move all of my coop animals to the newly built premium coop. I make a yarn spooler and toss a piece of camel wool into it before heading over to the wizard's tower. I buy the desert obelisk and I put it in the wrong spot. Whoops. I buy the island obelisk and I move the desert one into the correct position. And with that, all 4 obelisks are now on the farm. The next big purchase we make should be the golden clock, unless something else has been added with the Stardew Valley Expanded mod, in which case I'll try to get that one first. Apples isn't in the farmhouse. I'm confused. They told me to come back here today so I could be friends with them. I feel like I've been bamboozled here, flim-flammed, hoodwinked, dare I even say I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Feeling the most betrayed I have ever felt in my entire life, I use my new obelisk to teleport to Ginger Island. I plant all of the pineapple seeds I have, enter Key's walnut room and accept a special order. The mines have received an upgrade. My mission is to reach floor 120 in there all over again. I buy mega bombs from the dwarf and I get started on this adventure. I'm using gold star Joja berries for health and energy, so I'm about as safe as I can be inside here. With that being said, it wasn't easy. These enemies are very tough and I came close to being knocked out several times. I'm happy enough with the progress I'm making though. I reach floor 22 before passing out. I make a potentially horrendous choice on day 143. I consume a monster musk before returning to the mines. I'm hoping I'll get a bunch of good monster loot by doing this. I'm using a trinket called the Basilisk Paw. This one is pretty simple in its effect. It makes me immune to debuffs. There's an enemy inside these mines. It's a green ghost, and if it hits you, you get the nauseated debuff. It prevents you from eating and I think drinking too for like 2 minutes. Basically, as soon as I get hit with it, I'd have to leave the mines. Otherwise, I would 100% get knocked out. I make slow and steady progress up until 4 PM. I didn't get knocked out or anything, I just left the mines to ask Robin to build a pond. Then I returned to the mines. The monster musk is really working in my favor as enemies are dropping so much coal. I don't think I'll ever be short on this item ever again. I encounter a green ghost on floor 55 and I wasn't hit with the nauseated debuff, so I think we're safe. It looks like the trinket is working as intended. I pass out on floor 66. Apples is finally in the farmhouse on day 144, which means I can begin giving them starfruit and talking to them. Apples doesn't have a birthday, which I think that is a complete travesty. And on top of that, I can't get the extra 3 hearts of friendship with them by giving them a starfruit on their birthday, which also is a travesty. In more positive news, however, I've created a teleportation circle down here in the basement. That, I believe, is the second last teleportation circle I can make. It's back to the mines for what feels like the millionth time in this playthrough. I breezed through this place, making it all the way down to floor 104. I would have made it to floor 105, but I misplaced a staircase. Oops. Camilla is here on the morning of day 145. She takes me to the Enchanted Grove. She's impressed with how many teleportation circles I have and decides that we are worthy of being brought to the Galdoran continent. I remember this place being pretty tough before the update. I would say it was around an 8 out of 10 in terms of difficulty, maybe a 9 actually, now that I think about it. When you consider that the place that Lance lives, the Highlands, was buffed, as in the update made the enemies tougher and made them spawn in a lot more, I feel like something similar might happen with this area too. I feel like the enemies here have been buffed, which isn't good for us. We'll find out very soon because we've created a teleportation circle here in Galdora so we can come back here anytime we want. But first I harvest some pineapples on Ginger Island and toss them into the shipping bin. I open a chest beside the watchtower here in Galdora and find a piece of paper. It tells me when the shop here will be open. Well, it's not really a shop, now that I think about it. It's more like 3 people who will sell different things on different days. I want to be prepared for when somebody is selling things, so I sell a ton of Joja Berry starters. I grab 500 deluxe speed grow while I'm here, along with 50 each of the summer seeds. I pay a visit to the Adventurers Guild where I find Gunther and Marlin having a conversation. Gunther wants to explore the mines but needs somebody to accompany him down there to, keep him safe. I shall do it, so we will meet with him tomorrow or the next day and help him out. I buy a master slingshot and I equip iridium ore to it. Before I go back to Galdora, I want to quickly finish off Mr. Key's quest. So I use the bombs I bought from the dwarf to make it all the way down to floor 120. Mission accomplished. It's too late for me to feel comfortable exploring Galdora, so I opt instead to make a mini forge. My plan was to use 3 galaxy souls to upgrade the galaxy sword, but I only have 1 on me, and it would cost 80 key gems to buy the other 2 souls from Mr. Key's walnut room. So I just buy the remaining 2 crafting recipes inside here instead. I grab a golden ocean flower on day 146 and I send it to Martin for his birthday. Now, no more dilly-dallying. Let's do this. It takes maybe a couple of minutes for me to remember just how dangerous this place really is. There are 2 fish we can catch here and I would like to get them out of the way before doing anything else. My plan was to build a wooden fence around me to keep most of the monsters out. Unfortunately, I clearly didn't think this through as I'm wearing the napalm ring, which means that anytime I defeated an enemy near these fences, they were destroyed. Let's try that again, shall we? There we go, that's better. I catch the undead fish and I breathe a massive sigh of relief as I catch the bonefish too. We now have 1 single fish left to catch. But we have to wait until fall arrives until we can get our hands on that one. I gallivant around the area collecting void souls, void pebbles and red slime eggs. I'm taking a lot of damage from these enemies, but I've mastered the art of very quickly swapping to my food and eating it just before I get knocked out. At least that's what I thought until I was knocked out. Luckily I didn't lose anything too important. I will have to get another rusty blade though, I need that for the shipping collection. I spend the remainder of the day here just getting a feel for the place more than anything else. The scorpions are dangerous, very dangerous, that is my biggest takeaway. Even just walking into one of them takes away around 80% of her health. I make a bombardier elixir on day 147. This potion will give me plus 50 attack. Merlin has sent me the rusty sword I lost yesterday, thank you. I still have no idea why this happens automatically, but I won't complain about it. Camilla is selling a bunch of elixirs here in Galdora. One of them is the lightning elixir, which gives me a plus 8 speed boost for a minute. Another is the Aegis elixir. This one makes me invincible for 17 seconds. Right, okay, this changes everything. My original plan was to painstakingly fight my way through the dozens and dozens and dozens of enemies here in the southwest of the map. But I'm going to take a bit of a risk. I drink the Aegis and lightning elixirs and I make a beeline for the treasure room. It goes flawlessly and I make it inside here without being knocked out or even damaged at all. I use a prismatic shard to open the chest inside here and I receive the galaxy slingshot. This is going to be my weapon of choice to take down the giant serpent in this area. but I'm getting ahead of myself. See, we just did the easy part. The hard part is getting back out of here. All of those enemies we ran past to get inside here, they're still outside. They're still there and they still want to hurt me. I only had one invincibility potion, so that isn't an option either. I mentally prepare... You know what? No, I'm not even going to say anymore. I'm going to be quiet for a bit and just let you all watch what happens next. That was close. Way too close. At one point, my health literally dropped to 0 right as I went to eat the Joja berry. The game was very, very kind to me there. Realistically, it could have chosen to just knock me out, despite me having the Joja berry ready to eat in my hand. But we made it. I clear out some more enemies here before I decide it's time to officially battle the giant serpent. This was a nerve-wracking experience. I mostly played it safe. I used the galaxy slingshot to attack it from a distance. But there were a couple of times where I just went all in and whacked it with the galaxy sword as much as I could. In the end, this absolute behemoth was defeated. It drops a void shard. Yoink, and that's going into the shipping bin. I'm already happy to say that I'm having a fantastic day so far. But the day becomes truly golden when I discover that an ostrich has appeared in the barn. I call it Dawson. I've tossed a void eel into the pond here. I meant to throw one of the legendary fish inside here. I zoned out and I wasn't paying attention. Camilla is here again on day 148. She says the lands beyond this bridge are breathtaking. We can't go through there though because the bridge is all kinds of messed up. Luckily for me, Camilla will fix it. Now I wish I could say that she just fixed the bridge here and now without asking me for anything in return, but no, of course not. She wants items in return, of course she does. Marlin is here on the farm too. He's holding a meeting in the Adventurers Guild at midnight and wants us to attend it. Mr. Key has also decided to show up and announce that he has added a new song to the jukebox. It's called the Stardew Valley Expanded trailer. What a very eventful morning. I believe this cutscene here with Mr. Key is like the Stardew Valley Expanded mod's way of saying well done on getting inside the treasure cave. Which is nice, it's good to be rewarded for that. Now, back to Camilla. My goodness, she wants all of these items. Some of these are easy enough considering I have them already, but others like the red slime eggs, the monster fruit and the void souls will require a lot of work on my part. I buy 10 hyperspeed grow, plant some monster fruit seeds on Ginger Island and sprinkle the speed grow on them. I also plant seeds for the summer crops and use the luck speed grow on them. I give a void mayo to the henchman and I spend most of the day in the Gobland. I need to collect swamp essence inside here for Camilla. I wrap this up before midnight. Now all I need are red slime eggs, void souls and the monster fruit. To finish off the day, we've got another couple of cutscenes. The first involves Gunther. I accompany him through the mines, protecting him while he does his research in here. It goes well and he says he'll send us a ton of gold in the mail soon as a thank you. Next up is the meeting with Marlin. Alicia, Lance and Isaac are here too. This is brand new, this cutscene right here. This must have been added with the update. According to Marlin, there are 3 legendary monsters. The purple mushroom crab is in the Gobland, the golden slime is in the Highlands, and the diamond sand scorpion is in Galdora, or the Crimson Badlands as Marlin refers to it as here. Alicia and Isaac will search for the diamond scorpion. Lance has been assigned the golden slime and Marlin is going after the purple mushroom crab. Marlin says that I will assist with all regions. Alright, I'm thinking maybe we're going to battle with these adventurers against the legendary monsters. That should be really fun. I think I mentioned before that I hope in the future they add like a storyline involving Alicia and us battling a monster together. It looks like that's happening. I'm really looking forward to doing this now, and I mean legendary monsters, that's going to be cool by itself, right? I cook all of the dishes I can on day 149. I was going to wait until I've unlocked all of the recipes and make all of them at the same time, but I feel like that's an almost guaranteed way for me to miss out on at least one ingredient, and I really don't want to have to wait weeks in game to be able to get a single or maybe even 2 or 3 ingredients. I'm doing the exact same thing with the crafting recipes. Gunther has sent me 20,000 gold for helping him with his escapades in the mines. Not necessary, but very much appreciated. I buy a spangle and a poppy seed and I use them to make the tub of flowers recipe. Camilla has left a chest here at the bridge, so I toss all of the items I can into it. I still have to get void souls, red slime eggs and monster fruit. Circling back to the cooking recipes, I have to get an eel and use it to cook a fried eel. And I need a winter star rose to make the flour cookie. I also have to keep an eye out for 9 recipes I have yet to discover. I make Camilla's mission a priority for the time being. I have monster fruit growing over on Ginger Island, so all I have to do is search Galdora for red slime eggs and void souls. I'm also keeping an eye out for the diamond scorpion monster while I'm here. I got knocked out. This area is very humbling, I must say. This is definitely the most challenging place combat-wise in the entire game in my opinion. Day 150 is off to a lovely start as Scarlet has sent me a cooking recipe. I throw 20 void souls into the chest, grab some raisins for the dehydrator and return to Galdora. I found 3 red slime eggs. Then this happened. Yeah, this isn't good. Now, the smart thing to do would be to skedaddle out of here and come back tomorrow. The fun thing to do would be to see how long I can last against what seems like a never-ending amount of these giant serpents. I'm using a healthy mix of the slingshot and the galaxy sword. Until I run out of iridium ore, that is. This is where things get interesting. I make what I already know is my final stand. I gobble Joja berries and swing my sword like my life depends on it. Because it kinda does. And I have to admit, this was the most fun I've had in this playthrough so far. Eventually, I do get knocked out, but that was to be expected. I've got 13 treasure chests, which means I defeated at least 13 of those serpents. I find a few more slime eggs, then I take on the serpents again. I defeated as many of them as I could, but I eventually ran out of Joja berries and I had to retreat. I collect gold star Joja berries from a Junimo hut on day 151. Not just once, but twice. I make 3 elixirs to cross them off the list of items I still have to craft. Then I finish off collecting the red slime eggs. I was hoping to find the diamond scorpion, but no luck today. The luau takes place, so I attend that festival. I wasn't sure if I came here last year, but I think I remember buying a cooking recipe at the beach during the previous summer, so I think I did. Still, better safe than sorry. And I threw a gold star goat cheese into the soup. This gets the best reaction from the governor, which means I've earned some bonus friendship points with the villagers here. Just before the night ends, I toss the slime eggs I gathered into the chest, harvest pineapples and place them into the bin of shipping. Isaac is selling some lovely goods on day 152. I buy the tempered galaxy sword, Galdoran night boots and some potions. I reckon the best way for me to test out my new equipment would be to hopefully find the diamond scorpion and battle it. It takes a while, but it eventually emerges and the fight begins. It wasn't too bad. The ice rod trinket kept it frozen in place, so I just swung my sword at it over and over and over again. I get a treasure chest, a Galdoran gem, and a magic lamp. 1 out of the 3 legendary monsters have been defeated. In completely unrelated news, geese are now being sold at Marnie's shop. I buy one of them and I call it Paulina. Doreen the bear has also been added to the farm. The diamond scorpion dropped a golden carrot seed, so I plant that and sprinkle hyper speed grow on it. There's still a bit of time left in the day, so I decide to go after the golden slime. I couldn't find it. I might have to call upon an old friend soon. The monster musk might make its return. I've made a discovery on day 153. The genie lamp that I got from the diamond scorpion over in Galdora. I have a quest to give this to Marlin along with the items that the 2 other monsters drop. However, it looks like I also have to ship all 3 of them, so I'm going to be taking on each monster at least twice in this playthrough. With that in mind, I head back to Galdora in search of the diamond scorpion again. I took a bit of a detour and I went in the direction of the cave we found the galaxy slingshot in. For a few seconds, I truly did believe I had made a terrible mistake. But in the end, I persevered and defeated all of the enemies here. I entered the cave for the 2nd time, but it's empty, as to be expected. The diamond scorpion has chosen to be unbelievably kind to me and has shown up again. I defeat it and I obtain my 2nd magic lamp. Let's turn our attention to the gold slime now. I wasn't able to find it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use a monster musk here. A jar of honey and an ostrich egg are ready to collect on day 154. Sweet, I have to ship these. I harvest enough pineapples to finish off Caroline's quest. We should get the crafting recipe for the solar panel in the mail tomorrow morning. I consume a spicy eel and a hero elixir for a wonderful +4 speed boost in total. I spend a solid few minutes running around the Gobland, but I couldn't find the purple mushroom crab monster. I don't think I'm a fan of this, to be honest. In general, I'm not too big on the whole go here and maybe this enemy will show up, or maybe not, brother, thing in video games. It's probably because I spent a considerable portion of my life fighting boss monsters in the Borderlands games for legendary weapons. But I don't know, I feel like these enemies should be a guaranteed spawn. Like, if you go around the entire area, then at some point you'll come across them. The one exception is if the reward is entirely busted, right? Like, if you get an extraordinarily valuable or useful reward, then what I said here doesn't apply. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it has to feel like it was worth it. So maybe I'm jumping the gun on not liking this. I'll wait until the reward has been given to us and then make my decision. Anywhomst, I moved to the Highlands in search of the golden slime. I found it, and I defeated it, and the gold egg it drops fell on the ground. And it remained on the ground until it suddenly decided it wanted to go for a swim. So yeah, technically I found and defeated the golden slime, but I have nothing to show for it, so it may as well have not even happened. That's a sad way to end the day. In brighter news, Leo has sent me a cooking recipe and Caroline has sent me the solar panel crafting recipe on day 155. These orders are not what I'm looking for. I wanted one from Linus, so respectfully, no to both of you. I give a void essence to Krobus completely by accident. I thought it was a void soul. He didn't like this gift, which makes sense considering you get them by defeating shadow people. So basically I gave him proof that I've been hurting his friends and family. Sorry about that. I consume a monster musk and I return to the Highlands. The gold slime spawns in almost immediately. This might just be a coincidence, but to err on the side of caution, I'm gonna use the monster musk anytime I go searching for these monsters again in the future. It drops the gold slime egg and thankfully I'm able to pick it up this time. I encounter the purple mushroom monster just as quickly in the Gobland. This is definitely the easiest of the three to defeat. It drops the mega purple mushroom, so I deliver all 3 legendary items to Merlin. And that is the end of that mission. I ask Robin to build me a pond, and I spend the evening doing a bit of decorating. The sad thing is, this involves getting rid of the tree farm. Isaac is here on day 156. The reward for defeating the legendary monsters has been left in a chest in Galdora. It looks like we've got 2 rewards. The first is the monster splitter, and the second is the heavy shield. The sword does between 850 and 1000 damage. The shield gives us 35 defense when we're holding it. Cards on the table here, I'm a million times more interested in the sword. It swings very slowly, but we can change that for the better. I use the mini force to enchant it with 3 emeralds. It goes from having -10 speed to -2 speed. Alright, I'll take that. I'm also going to start using the fairy box trinket instead of the ice rod. The monsters I'm fighting now tend to do a lot of damage, so I'd prefer to have the health regeneration that the fairy box gives me. I use bombs to get rid of the trees and I spend the night cleaning up the farm. I grab Joja berries from the 1, 2, 3, 4 Junimo huts on the morning of day 157. Oh, and a gold carrot. We could end up getting a solid 5, maybe even 6 million gold when these berries have been turned into Joja berry starters. That would go a long way in helping me buy the gold clock for 10 million gold. I took the monster splitter for a test run in Galdora. I wasn't paying attention and I got knocked out. That wasn't the sword's fault though, that was my fault. I take full responsibility for this one. Round 2, here we go. It's defeating all of the enemies in one hit. Okay, yeah, that whole thing I was talking about when it comes to having to search for enemies that aren't guaranteed to spawn. This one falls into the category of it being done correctly. It was worth it because of the reward you get at the end. I even took on the giant serpent, except this time I was the one chasing it around. It didn't last very long either. This sword is extremely powerful. I'm really happy with this reward. Day 158 begins in the Gobland. I still have to ship the mega purple mushroom and a gold slime egg. I find the purple mushroom crab and very quickly take it out. This weapon is so good, especially after enchanting it with 3 emeralds. Over in the Highlands I do not find the gold slime. On the other hand, I'm happy to report that the monster splitter is making very quick work of all of the enemies here. A goose egg has been produced on day 159. I toss it into a mayonnaise machine before entering the skull caverns. I want to get some iridium ore just in case I need iridium bars in the future for anything. The caverinos are now an absolute walk in the park. Enemies are going down in just one hit, and they explode because of the napalm rings, so it's very easy to find all of the staircases and shafts in here. I make it down to floor 100 where I meet Mr. Key. He gives me iridium snake milk, which I drink and receive a permanent 25 health point boost. I used iridium bars to reforge the fairy box on day 160. The best I end up with is level 3. I think level 5 is the maximum, so it would have been nice to get that one, but I'll take level 3. I do something I should have done quite a while ago. I buy the animal catalogue from Marnie. I can now use her shop even if she isn't here. I add 4 more geese to the coop. I would like to give a warm welcome to Billy, Eddie, Sammy and Stanley. The legendary slime has been found. I defeat it and I grab the gold egg it drops. Assuming I don't need the legendary items anymore, as I've now thrown all 3 into the shipping bin, we don't have to deal with these monsters from now on. It was fun taking them on, the reward was perfect for the level of difficulty and effort involved, and looking back on it, it didn't take too long to find all of them twice. So, all in all, everything considered, this whole storyline with the legendary monsters was really well done in my opinion. I've made a shocking discovery on day 161. The area I made for the golden clock, it's off-center. I cannot allow this to exist on my farm, I have to fix it. Alright, that's a lot better, I'm happy again. I add stone pathways in various locations around the farm, harvest and collect more Joja berries than I know what to do with, and toss them into the seed maker. So I guess maybe I did know what to do with them. Alright, never mind. I asked the wizard to get rid of a shed I'm not using and move the silo and a shed to a different spot on the farm. Here is how things are looking right now. My plan for it is pretty simple. We've done most of the work, there's just a few small things remaining. I want to add a pond here, have the gold clock built here, place grass, well, everywhere on the farm to be honest, and maybe move the field of crops over 2 or 3 blocks, or find something else to put in that empty row on the left. I'm not sure which one I'll do yet, but yeah, it's looking good. I'll try to get most of that done before summer ends. For now, let's move on to day 162. I grab a goose egg, which will be thrown into the shipping bin, or the mayonnaise machine actually, that might be a better shout. I noticed there's 2 eggs in the shipping collection that look exactly the same. According to the Look Up Anything mod, one of them is a golden goose egg. I'm operating under the assumption that we get that from a goose as well as the normal egg. Here's hoping, otherwise I have no idea where to get it. I place more stone pathways and prepare an area for the next and also final pond I will be asking Robin to build. I've collected sturgeon roe, so caviar will be made very soon. I've done a bit of work on the ponds. I forgot to bring the crimson fish with me, but that will be going into the bottom right pond. Monster fruit are ready for harvest. I honestly forgot all about these. In terms of perfection, we're at 76%. We're definitely closing in on that 100% goal. At the rate things are going now, I feel like it's entirely possible for us to get 100% perfection by the end of spring in year 3. I have a good feeling about that. I toss the monster fruit into the chest at the bridge before passing out. A green mist has descended upon the valley on day 163. I toss the crimson fish into its pond and ask Robin to build a pond. Ooh, it's off center. Alright, I need to fix that. One moment please, there we go, that's so much better. Lioness wants me to fish trash out of the water here in town. This should result in us unlocking the final crafting recipe unless I am very much mistaken. Camilla has fixed the broken bridge on day 164. I forgot to turn off the flashing lights effect and there was a lot of that going on in the cutscene where she did it, so I don't feel comfortable showing it, just to be on the safe side. I place sturgeon roe into a preserves jar and buy the Void Delight cooking recipe from Krobus. It's time for some fishing now. This little bit of water here is the best place to go fishing in. Level 100 of the mines is also really good in terms of getting trash, but here is even better in my opinion. It doesn't take long for me to get all 20 pieces, which I throw into the dumpster to complete Linus's order. I found a necklace while I was fishing. Neat, I might keep this. I've started accepting jobs as often as I can again. I haven't been doing it as much during the last couple of weeks, but I really want to get as many tickets as I can. Hopefully I can then build up a nice collection of Stardrop tea. I make the statue of the Dwarf King and the statue of Blessings. The Dwarf King statue, that one gives you a random mining related power every single day. And the statue of Blessings just gives you a random power up every day as well. For example, I got +1 luck today from that blessing statue. With the bridge on the farm repaired, we can finally see what's on the other side. The answer? Everything and nothing. That sounded a lot more philosophical than I thought it would. Basically, there's hundreds of boulders and trees, stone, wood, fiber, all that kind of stuff here. But there's no missions or anything like that, like no new jobs to do. It doesn't look like there is anyway, but I haven't explored much of it so far. There is a cave full of geodes and gems, so this is pretty neat. I'll come back here soon and see what else it has to offer. Linus has sent me the crafting recipe for fiber seeds on day 165. I make them and I do not get the achievement for crafting every item. We're missing something. I know with 100% certainty that I've made everything in vanilla Stardew Valley. I've also made everything that was in the expanded mod before the update, so it has to be something new. We've made 99% of the crafting recipe so far, so I'm very much leaning towards it being just one crafting recipe we have left, as opposed to 2 or more of them. I can't think of any new shops that have been added, and the only new NPC is the henchman as far as I'm aware. So I'm thinking we get it from him at some point. Again, I'm not entirely sure, but it makes the most sense to me right now. I had plenty of time to think about this whole kerfuffle while attempting to catch an eel here in the Fable Reef. Normally you can only catch the eel during spring and fall. I'm not sure about winter, but I know you can't catch it during summer under normal circumstances, but the Fable Reef allows you to catch it during summer. However, what I didn't consider when I came here is that it isn't raining, so it won't spawn. It took me a while to figure that out. That was kind of embarrassing. It's day 166, and I feel like the odds of us getting the gold clock before the end of summer, or day 168, are very high. I have 8 stacks of Joja Berry starters ready to sell, so that's like 8 million gold right off the bat. I've got hundreds and hundreds of croppy whoppies I have no use for anymore, considering I've made most of the cooking recipes. So I place kegs in the shed and I fill them with the crops. The starfruit are going in first because, well, it's a bit of a rite of passage, isn't it? Making starfruit wine it's almost like a staple of some Stardew Valley playthroughs. I did keep the gold starfruit for apples though, don't worry about that. I use a rain totem over in the Fable Reef and send gifts to the villagers. Thankfully, we've completely avoided a situation where we have to max out 20 or 30 friendships after year 1. We have like 5 or 6 left at this point. Leo has sent me another cooking recipe on day 167, thank you. I go fishing in the Fable Reef for an eel. I've made another mistake here though. The eel does not show up until 4 PM. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait until fall at this point. I've embarrassed myself way too many times trying to get it during summer. I send goat cheese to Scarlet, then I visit my favorite NPC in the entire game, the Goblin. He's eating something in the corner of his house when I arrive. He calls it his special corner, that's kind of funny. He makes a void mayonnaise sandwich for me. It's certainly one of the sandwiches ever made. As a way of apologizing for, and I hate to say it because of who made it for me, but for not enjoying the sandwich, the henchman teaches me how to make a potion. I was already happy enough to be given a potion by my favorite NPC, but then it happened. The magical words popped up on the screen. Learned how to make a Marsh Tonic. This could be the final crafting recipe. It might be a cooking recipe, but I'm forcing myself to believe it's a crafting recipe. I have to believe. Before I go, the henchman tells me he's glad to call me a friend. Yeah, wrap it up, we're done here. This is the best moment that could possibly happen in this, or indeed any playthrough I ever do in this game. This is the absolute peak, the pinnacle moment in Stardew Valley for me. It's all downhill from here, let's be honest. The Marsh Tonic is in the crafting menu, so I make it, and the achievement for crafting everything is unlocked. Beautiful. In terms of the cooking recipes, I still have to make a fried eel and a flour cookie, but I now only have to find 5 more recipes. And so we arrive to day 168, the last day of summer. I grab all of the Joja Berry starters I can carry, accept the missions from the bounty board, and sell the Joja Berries. We now have a delicious 10 million gold at our disposal. I buy wood from Robin and make 78 kegs before buying the golden clock. I've just discovered we can also add buildings to the area beyond the bridge. The Ferngull Republic Frontier it's called. This place is somehow even more massive than I originally thought. I add my new kegs to the shed, and that is it for today. The main goals for fall, and well, every season after fall as well, are the following. Max out the remaining friendships, I think I have 5 left. Find the 5 remaining cooking recipes and catch 1 fish. I believe that's all we have to do to get 100% completion anyway. I think that's everything. Right, let's not waste any time. Let's go. Day 169 begins with a letter from Mr. Key. He has sent us a piggy bank for earning a total of 10 million gold. It doesn't do anything. You can put 1 gold coin in at a time and that's about it really. You can't even take the money back out of it. There's a chest or 2 or like 6 or 7 in different areas on the farm with random items in them, so I'm gonna spend the day putting them all into the storage shed. That's not all for today however, as I grab some Joja Berry starters and head over to Shearwater Bridge. Camilla is here and uses her magical abilities to add a new fish to the water here. This is the kitty fish, the final fish remaining for us to catch. I'm a little busy right now, but I will come back here in the future. I accept a few jobs at the bounty board as always. Then I sell some Joja berries, buy the wallpaper catalogue and the furniture catalogue. I clean up the cellar just a bit on day 170. The kitchen has also been tidied too. There isn't a lot I can do right now in terms of working towards perfection, so I'll be spending any free time decorating the farm, tidying up the place and just talking to the villagers. I want to show them that I still care about them, even if I've already maxed out most of their friendships. I buy more grass starter before taking on the kitty fish over at Shearwater Bridge. It doesn't take too long for me to catch it, and so the fishing collection has officially been completed. We don't really have to touch a fishing rod anymore in this playthrough, which is kinda bittersweet. I'm glad to have caught every fish, but I also really enjoy fishing. Overall, I've had a great time with the fishing aspect of the game. I think the turret fish and the wolf snapper were a very nice touch. It's cool to have more legendary fish to go after. William has sent me the second last star drop on day 171. Now I just have to get a villager up to 12.5 hearts to get the final one. I already know who it's going to be, but I'm keeping it a secret for now. I think you'll be happy with who it ends up being though. I place more grass on the farm, chop down the few remaining trees, add stone pathways to connect the main path to the minecart here, and place even more grass. Here is what the farm looks like right now. I've been thinking about the field of crops and the Junimo huts. My initial plan was to move it 2 or 3 spaces and put grass around it, but I've had another idea. I got rid of the tree farm, so I think I'm gonna plant mystic trees here. We'll see how it looks when they've grown, but I have a good feeling about this. I plant the coin in the greenhouse so we can have a money tree growing inside here, and it also fills up the last spot for a tree sapling. I turn my attention to the Ginger Island farm on day 172. I don't need to plant any spring, summer or fall crops anymore, and I've completed Caroline's order to plant pineapple seeds and ship them, so I can safely plant Joja berry starters here. I fill up the chest near the kegs with a bunch of different fruits and vegetables. I really wanted to organize them by color for some reason, which doesn't make a lot of sense considering they'll all be gone within 4 weeks or so. William and Linus have arrived here on Ginger Island. They're not here to stay though, no, in fact, they have a question for Leo. They want to know if he would like to live in Pelican Town. Linus can teach him how to cook and forage and basically live amongst other people. Leo is hesitant, but he accepts. Also, I lied about not having to touch a fishing rod again. I have to catch an eel. And I do. I use it to cook a fried eel dish. A group of parrots convert a tree into a house for Leo during the night. I collect caviar in the morning of day 173. I fill the remaining spots here on the Ginger Island farm with Joja berry starters, and I trade my tickets for a star drop tea. I got other items as well, but the important one is the tea. I donate the caviar, finishing off the final bundle in Joja Mart. Every other Junimo was able to go home when I completed the community center, except for this one. Now it can. Something happens to Joja Mart during the night. I spruce up the storage shed on day 174. I feel like the grass flooring used to be darker. This one will do. It doesn't look terrible, but I definitely prefer the old one. Maybe the 1.6 update changed it, or I don't know, maybe I just picked the wrong flooring, but I looked really hard for the one I used around 2 years ago, so who knows really. I add wood pathways and try out other flooring, but I wasn't a fan of how it was looking, so I went back to the original design I had. Day 175 is yet another day of decorating, perhaps the biggest one so far as we're tackling the house. I'm liking how it's looking so far, but I do want to ask Robin to add the extra rooms to the house, so there's a lot more work to be done here. It's only 10 AM though, so we have plenty of time. I add the corner room, the southern room and the attic, and I expand the corner room. I can't add the cubby or expand the kitchen because a lamp is blocking both of them. That's inconvenient. I give a duck feather and a star drop tea to Leo to max out his friendship before checking the new theater. This is going to be extremely useful when it comes to improving our remaining friendships. I buy 50 cinema tickets in preparation of our future visits here. Speaking of, I give a void mayo to the goblin and invite him to the cinema while I'm here. I buy a truffle popcorn for him and he likes the movie. That's good, that's very good. You get 125 friendship points in total if they like the movie and the snack you buy them. Of course, the best outcome is if they love the movie and they love the snack. That's 250 friendship points, or an entire heart of friendship. I'm back in Robin's on day 176. I ask her to add the cubby and expand the kitchen. I spend the day working on the house and here is the end result. I haven't touched the attic at all and the expansions for the kitchen and the corner room. The attic I'm pretty sure I'll decorate this week, but I'm contemplating getting rid of those two expansions. I've done everything I want to do with the house, so they're kind of just there. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of them. It's time to focus on the Ginger Island house on day 177. I always struggle decorating this house, but I think I'm good with how it turned out. I still have to grab some fish to put in the fish tank, and I also need to get the butterfly hutch and 2 plant decorations. The butterfly hutch I can get from the desert trader for 200 batwings, and the 2 plants are in the crane game in the theater. So there's a tiny bit more work to be done, but it shouldn't take long. I give a star fruit to Apples on day 178. Andy has been throwing bottles at Apple's house. I might need to have a word with Andrew. I will not stand for that type of tomfoolery. I give a void mayo to the henchman and a crocus to Sandy before starting my mission to collect around 150 batwings. I need 200 of them in total, but I have around 50 or 60 in the storage shed. This ended up being an absolute breeze considering I have the monster splitter and I've consumed a monster musk. I've got over 150 batwings as the day comes to an end. I trade 200 batwings for the butterfly hutch on day 179 before sending my axe to Clinton. I didn't even realize it wasn't iridium quality yet. My bad. I placed the hutch in the Ginger Island house and yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. All I have to get now is the 2 plants I mentioned in the theater. Here's a look at the actual farm itself. I don't have to change anything here or add anything onto it. This is the complete product basically. I add grass to the bottom of this farm and again I think this farm is done and dusted too. I've done everything I want to do with it. I will be showing a picture of this farm, the Ginger Island farm and the 2 homes at the end of this journey. So if I do make any changes whatsoever, you'll be seeing the most up-to-date versions of them at the end. I don't know why, but I love using grass and stone pathways to decorate the place. It gives a bit of a nature vibe to the farm. I think I've just finished decorating the attic on day 180. It's nothing fancy, I went for a bit of a storage area look with this one. Basically I tried to make it actually look like an attic. Again, nothing special, but I like how it turned out. I asked Robin to remove the extensions to the kitchen and the corner room. Sometimes less is more, and I also cannot be bothered decorating those rooms on top of everything else. But seriously, I don't need those extensions. They'd literally just be there for the sake of them being there if I did keep them. I toss a super cucumber into a box above the community center to get the HMTGF statue. In the saloon, I swap a duck mayonnaise for the pinky lemon statue, and I put a strange bun into the box in Vincent's room to get the Ferrogimon statue. I place all 3 of them into the attic. Just like the Ginger Island house, I need to get 2 plants from the crane game in the theater and then I'm all done here. I have received the Iridium Axe on day 181. Thank you, Clinton. I invite the goblin to the cinema and I spend a bit of time exploring this massive area across the bridge. What was it called? The Ferngill Republic Frontier? I'm just gonna call it the Frontier from now on. There's a beach area which I waste no time in clearing out. I don't think I'm going to do anything with the Frontier though. I've got everything I need on my farm, so I won't be putting buildings or growing crops here. That being said, I did notice there's an option to have this place unlocked at the very beginning of the game, rather than waiting until Camilla shows up and unlocks it for you. Considering the amount of stone, wood, hardwood, fiber, all of those things you can get here, I think having it unlocked at the start of the playthrough would be the way to go. Over in the theater, I play the crane game quite a bit to get all of the items I need. I'm trying to get 2 each of the Junimo plushies and 2 of the different types of tree decorations. I called them plants a while ago, but no, they're trees, not plants. I place 2 of them in the southern room in the house, and I put all of the Junimo plushies I won into this room. The goblin pays me a visit and tells me that he's made a tribute to the witch. He wants me to come take a look tomorrow in the Gobland. I add 2 trees to the Ginger Island farm, pop a movie poster up on the wall in the attic, and that is it for both houses. All of the decorating I wanted to do has been done. In every playthrough I've done this, as in me finishing decorating and now just waiting to unlock a couple of cooking recipes and max out 3 or 4 more friendships, all of that is really a sign that things are coming to an end. Let's not dwell on that for now though, there's still some things to do. For example, I visit the goblin on day 182 and I take a look at what he made. There are 5 more shrines here. According to the goblin, we can offer certain items to each shrine to activate their effect. Shrine number 1. Offer 20 natural goo in exchange for a tree coin. I remember all the way back in summer of year 1 I was wondering how to get more money trees. I finally got my answer. We can exchange a gold carrot to prevent moss from growing on trees. I can offer an ornate treasure chest to have armies of monsters invade the town at nighttime. The Shrine of Betrayal doesn't seem to do anything right now, but I'll keep an eye on that one and see if that changes in the future. And I can offer 15 sludge in return for 1 life elixir. Apples has decorated their house using starfruit. It looks absolutely sterling if I do say so myself. Good job, buddy. I was playing with Apples in the forest when Andy walked by and saw us. He didn't see Apples for some reason. It looks like Apples is invisible to most people. I say most people because a short while ago there was a cutscene involving Abigail. She was playing with Apples in this cutscene. I'm sorry for not showing that one. I must have skipped it when I was editing. So it seems like only Abigail and I can see Apples. I buy some coffee as I'm running out of speed boost items. I'm currently using a haste elixir, but I've only got 3 left, so I'll run out of them very soon. I find this area in the front here. It's similar to the lake in Sprite Spring. It gives us a +3 boost to a random skill, and it fills our energy back up too. Sandy sends me the recipe for tomka soup on day 183. That brings me down to 4 more recipes left to discover. One of them is the tropical curry cooking recipe, so I just have to keep an eye out for Gustavo and make sure I don't miss him if he goes to Ginger Island. I give a crocus to Sandy for her birthday, which maxes out her friendship. Apples has received a starfruit, and I've invited them to the theatre, so we're well on our way to maxing their friendship too. In fact, I only have to earn around 3.5 more hearts with them. Speaking of apples, they show up to my house on day 184. They're having a party in their house and I'm invited. The Stardew Valley Fair takes place today and I have found a cooking recipe, look at this! The prismatic pop. I only have to get 3,000 tokens. Alright, let's do this. I put my best items into the Grange display, which earns me a tasty 1,000 tokens. I play the slingshot game to earn another 114 tokens. Yeah, I'm not doing that again, that is not worth it. I bet all of my tokens on green and I lose. Lovely. I go fishing and earn 612 tokens. That's much better. I do it again for 588 tokens. I bet all of them on green and I win, doubling my tokens. I bet 600 tokens on green, win, and make what could very well be a very risky choice. I bet all 3,000 on green once again. Thankfully I win, so I buy the prismatic pop cooking recipe and a prize ticket. My good deed for the decade has been performed on day 185. I pay Robin 500,000 gold to have her build a house for Pamela. In other news, we have officially reached the point where I don't have many things to talk about each day, so I'm going to condense most of the remaining days down into one segment. The remainder of day 185 through day 224 is spent talking to the villagers because I just care so deeply about them. I complete most of the jobs that the villagers have for me to get prize tickets, and I work on Apple's friendship. I'm glad I grew so many starfruit because it's making things so much easier for me right now. I give 300,000 gold to Robin to have her add shortcuts to the town. I'll show these when they've been built. Speaking of things being built, Pamela's house is ready. I tell Robin not to get me involved and to instead tell Pamela and Penny that somebody donated the money anonymously. Not because I'm humble, no, I just don't want to be acknowledged. Do not perceive me, please. I continue going to the movies with Apples and making sure to get them food they like or love. I watch a cutscene involving Apples that ends up being rather sad. The other Junimos don't approve of Apples fixing up this house and they don't want to play with them anymore. I tell Apples that I don't think they made a mistake doing all of this and that the other Junimos are just being really unfair. Regardless, the end result is nobody has come to Apple's party, and so they tell me to leave. But then, something magical happens. The bear is here, and he is ready to party. He even brought some maple syrup with him. I've done a bit of editing to my list of favourite NPCs after this cutscene. I think my top 3 are now the Goblin Henchman, the bear, and apples. Moving on into winter now, I take all of the wine that has been produced by the kegs and I toss it into the shipping bin along with hundreds of Joja Berry starters. I invite Apples to the theatre, and here is the first shortcut that Robin added to the town. It links the mines to the little island in the middle of the mountain lake. Shortcut number 2 is right below it. It links the mountain area to the north of Joja Mart. Here is number 3, it brings us from the museum to the beach. Shortcut number 4 used to link Leah's cabin to the beach in vanilla Stardew Valley, but the layout of the map has been changed because of the expanded mod, so I believe this right here is the new shortcut. Although I do vaguely remember walking this way during the first year, so maybe not. I'm not 100% sure on this one. The final shortcut takes us from the bus stop up to the area behind our house. Pretty cool, huh? I find a Winter Star Rose up on the summit and buy the Return Scepter from Krobus. I toss the Winter Star Rose into the shipping bin, which means 2 important things. Number 1, the only item I have left to ship is the Golden Goose Egg. Number 2, I have to find another Winter Star Rose for a cooking recipe. Krobus wants me to bring him 60 Void Souls, so that's going to keep me occupied for a few days. Lewis lets me know that I can now build a winery. This is new. I thought we had discovered everything the expanded mod has to offer, so I'm surprised by this, in a good way of course. I buy haste and armor elixirs and collect Void Souls here in Galdora. I'm finding 10 to 15 on average per day, so if I come here 3 more times, I should get all of the Void Souls I need. I find a Winter Star Rose and I use it to make the flour cookie. 3 more recipes to discover and then we're done. I see why they waited until now to tell me about the winery. It's expensive, and that's putting it lightly. 1 million gold, 50 kegs, 30 iridium bars, and 200 pieces of hardwood. Realistically, I won't be using it, but I'm gonna build it anyway. Also, if you remember the necklace I found while I was fishing up trash for Linus, I remember now, it belongs to Abigail. I collect more Void Souls and chase the big serpent around. I can't help but find this ironic. I remember being so terrified of this thing when I first came here. More of them spawn in and I get a bit carried away and go all Jacob Fatu on them. You know, all gas no brakes, I'm not stopping until every single one of these serpents have been defeated. I give the necklace to Abigail, who's very happy to see it again, and I ask Robin to build the winery. I was worried I wouldn't have enough space for it on the farm, but there's a nice spot for it above the golden clock. I gather enough Void Souls for Krobus and 1 more for good luck. I deliver them to him, and that is his job complete. Gustavo is making his way to Ginger Island. We are about to unlock 1 of the 3 recipes we still have left. I've got 15 tickets and I trade them for a grand total of 1 single Star Drop tea. Who do I complain to? Because I'm not happy about this. Unironically, I feel like I've been swindled. I buy the tropical curry cooking recipe and breathe a massive sigh of relief. I know where to get 1 of the 2 remaining recipes. The other, I have no idea. I've added a couple of items to this room here. It's like a treasure room or like a room of nostalgia. I give a starfruit to Apples to reach the coveted 10 hearts of friendship with them. The Festival of Ice takes place and I have nothing better to do. Ordinarily I would skip this festival because truthfully I feel like William deserves to win the fishing contest every single time, so this festival belongs to him in my eyes. But like I said, I don't have anything else to do right now, so I might as well attend this little festival. I am so glad I came here because look what's being sold. A cooking recipe. The fishing contest begins and of course I'm going to let William win. So while that happens, I want to talk about what we have left to do. The short answer, 2 more things. The long answer, I need to get 12.5 hearts of friendship with somebody for the final star drop. And then I have to wait until the final villager comes to town at the start of the 3rd year. Not only to reach max friendship with them, but to also get the final cooking recipe from them. At least I remember them giving the final cooking recipe. I hope that hasn't changed. But yeah, that's it. We're very close now to 100%ing this game. Krobus is here to let me know that his friends are doing something with the Void Souls I gave him. They want me to join them in the mines. A Junimo enters Apple's house. I believe their name is Peaches. They helped me create the teleportation circle in the Junimo woods at the start of this year. I make the chocolate truffle bar and visit the goblin. I have brilliant news for you all. The witch gave him back his job. I offer an ornate treasure chest to a shrine so monsters will start invading the town at nighttime. I did this out of curiosity more than anything else. I want to see how this is done. Apples and Peaches are excited about something. Now, all of the Junimos are excited about something. I think it's safe to say that they've changed their minds about what Apples did. It looks like they're all one big happy family again. They've gathered in Apple's house and the bear is in there too. This seems to be Apple's 10-heart cutscene. And I get a nice reward at the end of it. Starfruit are now worth even more gold. The Super Starfruit is being sold over in the Junimo Woods. I grab it and give it to Apples. Some of you may have seen this coming. Apples is the NPC I'll be getting to 12.5 Hearts of Friendship with, so I can get that last star drop. He's moving in with us because I gave him the Super Star drop I got in the Junimo Woods. Inside the mines, Krobus and his friends are using the Void Souls to bring back their fallen friends and family members. Not a single word was spoken, and yet this might just be the most powerful cutscene in the entire game. The end result? The Shadow People are reunited with their loved ones, and a truce has been formed between myself and them. They won't attack me, and I will not attack them. I trade supernatural goo for a tree coin, 3 of them to be precise, and I've just now discovered what the Shrine of Betrayal does. It breaks the truce between me and the Shadow People. That is brutal. There is no way I'm using that one. In case you were wondering how exactly the armies of monsters invade the town, the answer is pretty simple: a jump scare. Yeah, I'm not afraid, but also kind of ashamed to admit that I literally jumped when they popped out of the ground. The villagers don't seem to care about these monsters being in the town. Good for them, but I'm fighting for my life here, so a little help would be appreciated. Apples gives me a choice to make. They will either refurbish the abandoned farmhouse they live in and fix up the farm outside it and give it to me, but that does mean Apples will move out of that house and go back home with Peaches. The other option is Apples keeps the farmhouse. There's no way I'm taking that house off them, it belongs to them. And I've already asked them to move in with me, so I don't want to jeopardize that in any way. I say no to their offer. That farmhouse belongs to Apples. The winery has been built. I think out of all the buildings, it has the coolest exterior. And the interior of it is nice enough too. Again, I won't be using it, but it was worth buying. I continue giving Starfruit to Apples, add grass and stone pathways to the front of the winery, go to the theater with Apples, and earn 1 more Stardrop tea. Speaking of Stardrops, Apples has given me the final one. Here is a quick look at the Perfection Tracker. All we have to do is ship the Golden Goose Egg, get Apples to 14 Hearts of Friendship, max out the new villagers' friendship when they come to town, and cook 1 more dish. I buy Apple's portrait from the travelling cart. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can buy this when you get somebody to 14 Hearts of Friendship. And that brings our second year to an end. I know I said at the beginning that I'd be doing 112 days, but I'm not going to end it here. We have very little left to do. Let's get it done. Let's jump right into day 225. Grandad has appeared in our dreams and says he is very proud of us for all of the work we've done here on the farm. Apparently we're an even better farmer than he ever was, but I mean, like, I couldn't have done any of this without you, so don't undersell yourself, alright? Don't do that. I consider buying strawberry seeds. I did buy them, but then I decided to go with mixed seeds instead. I plant over 600 of them on the farm. This didn't take too long to do, considering I have a +3 speed boost from the haste elixir. My plan is to let all of these grow and use the setting that stops the Junimos from harvesting my crops. Unless I've made a mistake, we should be wrapping things up during spring, so we'll finish the game with a wonderful farm full of random crops. Considering how much I love mixed seeds, I figured this was the best way to end things. I accept an order from Emily. She wants different gems. This is a really easy order to do, so I may as well do it in an attempt to get a prize ticket and later on a Stardrop tea from that prize ticket, hopefully anyway. I buy a bunch of coffee, turn all of them into triple shot espressos, and give Emily the gems she asked for. I trade 2 tickets for random items. I was hoping to see a Stardrop tea pop up in the rotation, but it didn't. Emily sends me a sewing machine in the mail on day 226, so I place that in the cubby with the other machines. Once again, I'm gonna condense the remaining days down into one segment. And so the following things happened during days 227 through 242. The wizard tells me that he's been assigned a pupil to train. Their name is Morgan and they'll be arriving in town tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, I visit the wizard's tower and introduce myself to Morgan. They are the final NPC I was talking about. They've left home to study magic under the wizard's guidance. I give them a gold star void egg and 2 Stardrop teas and invite them to the cinema. I've already got 2.5 hearts of friendship with them, so we're off to a great start. Luckily enough, the movie playing this season is a movie they like, and they tend to love at least one of the snacks that are being sold here in the theatre at any given time, so we're getting a guaranteed 150 friendship points with them every single time. Morgan sends me the final cooking recipe. I give them a void egg before making the dish. I was beginning to get a little anxious at this point about the golden goose egg, but I suppose all I can really do is just hope a goose drops it soon. And hope I do actually get it from a goose and it's not gotten from somewhere or something else. I trade 3 tickets and there's still no sign of a star drop tea. I'm not giving up though. I'm getting one. Morgan, Jazz and Vincent are playing hide and seek in the forest. Morgan seems to be upset when Jazz refers to his wizard hat. Jazz later refers to Morgan and Vincent as 2 boys. Morgan again seems to be upset when they hear this and soon explains why. They don't identify as a boy or a girl, they just identify as themselves. Vincent and Jazz immediately understand what Morgan is talking about and make a real effort to respect them and what they identify as, or who they identify as. My thoughts about this cutscene are the same as when I was playing the Ridgeside Village mod and Sean explains to Jazz, I think it was, about how they used to be a girl, but now he's a boy because he feels more comfortable and happy that way. I think if somebody is doing something that makes them feel comfortable and happier, and I guess in a way makes it easier for them to accept themselves, then why question it? Let them live their life the way they want to. They're not hurting anybody, so why take their happiness away from them? It's kind of a cruel thing to do. It is a cruel thing to do, to take their happiness away. After a cinema trip and a couple of void eggs, we only have 3.5 hearts of friendship left to get with Morgan. They talk to us about how they feel lonely here as they've just moved in and haven't met many people. Merlin says hi to them, but that's about it. Camilla shows up, but she creeps them out, so they try to stay away from her. Yeah, you and me both, Morgan. It's my birthday on the 11th day of spring. The wizard gives me obsidian and Morgan gives me rhubarb pie. Here is everything I received from the villagers. Dinosaur mayo, starfruit, and iridium sprinkler. These are some really nice presents. A golden goose egg has finally been obtained. I'm so glad I was correct when I assumed it comes from a goose. It took, what, like 10 weeks to get it? But we have it now, so I tossed it into the shipping bin to complete that collection. I trade 3 more tickets and a star drop tea pops up. If I can get 1 more ticket, I'll get that as a prize. I quickly send items that the villagers asked for and trade the ticket for the magical tea. I help the wizard teach Morgan about transforming objects into, well, different objects, like turning an iron bar into a gold bar. I give a star drop tea to Morgan, and after speaking with them, I am a mere 6 friendship points away from 10 hearts. 1 more conversation on day 243 maxes out their friendship. Later that morning, they visit the farm to let me know that the wizard is giving them an exam. It will take place in the forest and they want me to be there while they do this exam. I will absolutely be there, but first a trip to the Walnut Room reveals that we have achieved 100% completion. Our journey through the wonderful Stardew Valley Expanded mod is all but over. In the forest, Morgan harnesses all of their magical abilities. They end up speaking to the animals in this area who gather around Morgan. The wizard is astonished at the level of trust the forest creatures have in Morgan. They have passed their exam with flying colours. And the animals on the farm now produce better quality items. Cool, I'll take it. And here we are on day 244, the final day of our adventure. As I leave the farm, I notice the parrots flying above, signifying that our work here is done. I head to the summit where Apples is waiting. And that concludes our journey through the Stardew Valley Expanded mod. Here is a look at the farms and the houses while I ramble for a little bit before the video ends. It took over 2 years, and we had a lot of help from a certain mixed seeds mod. Seriously, I love mixed seeds a lot, and I'm so glad that mod exists, but I forgot it can be a bit overpowered when it comes to getting Joja berries. Anywhomst, I hope you've all enjoyed watching me play through this beautiful mod. It's been so much fun, and I really can't wait to see what happens in the next update, whenever that might be. All of the mods I used alongside the Stardew Valley Expanded mod can be found below in the description. And yeah, that's about it, I think. Time to wrap things up. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one.